Good day, everyone. We're here at Virtual DDD. Today is the 2nd of July, and it's 6-ish p.m. here in New Zealand. And we are here to see and hear and listen and ask questions to Krisztina Hirth. She's going to be showing us impact mapping. Before we get through to that, I wanted to invite you to interact with us and with each other in our Discord server. There's an invite here. I will share this link in the Zoom channel so you can try to get through there as well. Maybe Krisztina also share the mirror link you're going to need in a second. We have some ideas about how to continue going and what we want to do with virtual DDD, but obviously a community is all of you, really, right? So let us know what you think about what's happening. There is some interesting events incoming, I hope. This was one happening in New Zealand in October. If you have any other events that you think we should know about, please let us know. And since we have a lot to cover, and without further ado, Krisztina, do you want to?
Hello, everyone. I will take it over by sharing. Do I share? Yeah, excellent. So, good morning. How do you feel? Ready for some impacts? The idea is to go to explain how impact mapping works, but actually what I would like to do to talk about stuff what we don't have time during a workshop, like success keys and reasons to fail, and why this method is so powerful, and in which cases and when you should not use it because it won't work. Like Andrea said, if you have questions, just raise your hand or put them in the chat, and we discuss about them, because I don't want a frontal presentation. I don't like this. So, impact mapping is a collaborative strategic planning. It's the book is the smallest book I ever saw, probably because 90% are pictures. And everything else, each sentence, each word is very, very important. So there is nothing to let out. It's a very, very concise book. The method itself is a collaborative strategic planning technique for everyone involved in product development, not for engineers, not for product people, not for designers, not for business people, but the combination of them. Otherwise, it is just half of the value. So without collaboration, it won't work. What it helps, or why it was invented, is to prevent organizations from scope creep and over-engineered solutions. You surely experienced already the situation when someone came with a problem or an idea, and the first answer was, okay, we build a huge project for this. And this is where you must say, stop here, because it takes eventually 8 months or 6 months or several months, and we still have no idea if it worked or not. I can't see the chat. So if something is, just ask. Why do we need this? We are really excellent in measuring every key stroke for engineers, but we have no idea, or we have forgotten why we build all this software stuff. Why we build software at all, why we have IT. It's because of the customers. And we don't do this for estimations. We don't do this for story points. We even don't do this because the manager said. We should do everything what we do for the customers, and we should not do if the customers don't need them. So the question is how to find out what they actually would like. Because Like Anthony Ulrich says, the customers don't really know. They can't tell us, please make this button blue, and they most surely don't want that either. So that's not a good job to do. It won't help anyone, but maybe, I don't know, someone's personal goals. That's not the problem. The problem is not the color. The problem is what exactly the customers would like to from us to help them, because they pay us to solve their problems, not ours. And this is where impact mapping is very, very helpful. Addressing problems without knowing what exactly, how the outcome should look like, how the output should look like. So the method is really is applicable for any goal related to an outcome, not an output. If you have goals like I want to have, I don't know, 1,000 lines of code, bad goal, but it could be a good goal, but it's not. Don't use impact mapping for it. If you are able, if you want to have options, if you are ready to not be fixed on some assumptions, but you really want to know, okay, what could I do? What kind of options could I have to solve a problem, because I know the problem? Then impact mapping is perfect for it. The method puts the customer and their problem in the center. A lot of methods say that they do that, but here you will see this is exactly what happens. The first and most important step in this method is the customer, is about the customers, about the actors. And what I like it puts measurements back onto the table, but on the good measurements. So not vanity metrics or again lines of code, but really drives us to build in measurements by design, instead of working on something for 6 months and then starting measuring and then finding out after 8 months that it didn't work. And this is one of the mistakes what can happen, and what I already experienced, that it was underestimated and didn't follow. Measuring means really we are able to, at any time from the beginning, factual measurability, I didn't know how to call it. If we just say, oh, we will see and we will find out later and so on, that's too late. We must be able to do it from the beginning.
In the spirit of as we said, quite a few people started trickling in since we started the chat, and what we want is a more interactive session. And you mentioned two things that I really like to get some clarification on. The first, you said that I think this is a thing quite discussed a few times, but maybe you can define the difference between outcome and output. That would be one question. And the other one, it's a bit of a probably slightly more open question, and that's about, you're talking about measurements, and I kind of wonder what kind of measurements are you talking about? As in, can you give us an example, perhaps, to try to clarify things?
First, for the measurements, we will get there. At the end, I really want to talk about measurements, because usually I don't get to do it during the workshops, but that's very, very important. So let's postpone that. And outcome versus output. If we want to change the outcome, we want to change the behavior. So easy as that. And output, I have 5 books more than before. That's not a behavior. Who cares? Related to what? What does this change? Besides the fact that I don't have space for more books. But otherwise, there is no behavioral change. It means often it means nothing, because it's not put in relationship. Output is I deleted 1,000 lines of code, and then is this good? Is this bad? Nobody knows, because it is just a number put in not put in context. But the outcome change could be, I just changed some very small thing. I removed one step in a user flow. So I deleted the same 1,000 lines of code, but those were actually, I reduced, I managed to skip one step in the user flow. So the user needs to do one step less. And this is a big behavioral change because they are probably happy because the less we click, the better, usually. So, and that's the difference between outcome and output. Outcome is behavior change, in bad or good. It does not need to be Okay. Thank you for the questions, very good ones. So let's continue. Like I said, this method can be used for any goal. It can be your holiday goal or whatever, private or at the office at work. I used it for everything. For company OKRs, I borrowed a lot from impact mapping to impact how OKRs and mostly the metrics for that are defined. It works very well in not too big companies, but also team goals or personal goals doesn't matter. Now we will. I can answer the question now. We will go through this method. I will show you how it works, and then we can play a bit impact mapping if you want. So this is one goal, for example. This is the same context and same goal I used at DDD Europe, so I just borrowed it. And it is about a delivery service which has a history and has a mission. So the goal needs to be put in the context of the company because your ideas and what you will do depends a lot on the context, on the culture of the company. If my goal is, if my mission or my idea about my company is to be high quality, very qualitative, then your actions will be oriented or will take that in consideration. If your goal is to just make money and quantity over quality, your actions will be different. So the mission of the whole context belongs to this definition. Ignore the big text is not so important because we won't do literally this workshop because we don't have the time for it. But you see that it needs to be put in the context, give as many information as possible, and describe the problem. So what is our problem? This plate pilot worked very well for 1 year, but the CTO or the CEO observed that only 40% of the users are coming back for the second time. So returning customers, very low. And it's time to address this. And this is why the goal in this case, everything here is invented. The goal is, okay, let's invest in the next 3 months to increase the number of returning customers to 60%. And that's a great goal because it is very specific. It does not say make it faster, make it higher, jump higher, and so on. Those are just as bad as having 5 books because faster than what? And what is faster? What is more? Those are not good. It must be quantitative and put in a time window. So otherwise we could work for years on the same topic and maybe nobody cares about it. So having something like 3 months or 6 months, it's a good window. Having a very concrete number of what in percentage returning customer from 40 to 60%. That's a good definition of a goal. Yes, one question from Ira. What about goals, internal reduce infrastructure cost? Those are excellent because you have a user. So who is the user? Who is using? Who has this need? In that case, the need is of the company, and often company objectives are like this. Okay, reduce infrastructure cost. This is very outputish because why? What if I make 60% more money by not reducing the infrastructure costs? Do I still need to reduce? Is the goal? These are usual goals, and they don't give you the room, the space to innovate. This method is ideally for innovation. You can still apply it inside your team, just to have a look at, okay, what could we do and how, but your boundaries are very strict because you can't talk about let's make more money and then make the infrastructure relative to the revenue. So this is hard, but it's not because you don't have users or customers, because you can still say, okay, the main actor here, the main user is the CFO or the CTO or whoever. Does this answer their question, Ira?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Oh, welcome. Okay, Benjamin doesn't have a question, but a remark. Yes, it is. Impact mapping is combining a lot of methods like outcome-based thinking and several others, which I forgot. Okay, let's go on. So, like Benjamin said, the first step is defining the goal. And this definition is usually happening before the workshop. So if you have a workshop, you should come with the goal or have another meeting before where you think about these ideas and define the goal. Because this usually takes a lot of time. So combining the two is not... it is good to have them separated. And also, depending on what goals you have, you surely will invite different people because the business experts or the teams or whoever differs depending on the goal.
Actually, there's a question from Alistair there, but also if I was about to ask the same question on how do you find what is a good goal? And Alistair asked, how do you pick an achievable goal?
The answer is the metrics.
Right. Could I give an example with that?
Like this one. So next 3 months, increase the returning customer, and your assumption, your statement when you set up this meeting and you declare that goal is to prove the achievability. So you will know at the end if it is possible or not.
Okay, so part of the outcome of
exactly. That's part of the outcome. Exactly. It validates. It's smart is one thing, but that's not enough. It also, if you end up with an empty map, then you will see, okay, I don't know how to do it. Nobody here has an idea how to address this goal, how to address this problem, how to achieve this goal. So our goal is not good. But the first test is really this accuracy. So not do something more or less, but be very explicit in which time. And like for example, here, returning customer, it's very, very probably that in the company there is a report saying how many returning customers do we have today. If it would be something like, I can't think on any goal. There are surely 1,000 goals which is not achievable or not measurable. But the first test is to have it measurable. If I can measure it, I can visualize it. If I have ideas how to address it, and they are related to this measurement, I will see if it works or not. And that's part of the secret source of impact mapping. I promise you until the end you will have the answer. Okay, so back to this is step 2. Having the goal on the table, and this is one big learning, always have the goal in front of you. Even if you go and work 2 months later, you still should have this goal in at least in your memory, because we should do things for this goal and for the customers, and not for some 20th level of translation. So why do we do this? Like infrastructure cost, why do we do that? Because our revenue is too low. So if we would have the goal, okay, increase the revenue, then maybe the infrastructure cost would not be a topic at all. What Gojko Ajic does differently, and he's the writer of the book and the method. First of all, he starts with the actors, and second, he asks these questions. And this is now we are in the middle of this technique, how to apply it, and it is as simple as this. Ask these questions. Don't ask who is using my app. That's too short-sighted. Whose behavior do we want to impact? Who can produce the desired effect? Who can obstruct it? We very often forgot others who can kill our initiatives. Like even in the same company, you can have contradictory goals, and if one team sets I don't know, increasing the prices or reducing the prices, and the other team starts doing some marketing stuff which goes exactly against it, then the teams obstruct each other. They will kill their one will win, but it is good to know about it and to put it on the table. Who are consumers and users of our product, and who will be impacted by the change. And I think this is the most important part, what we don't do today. Invest time thinking about who are these actors. The CTO should be on this list. The CFO should be on this list in case of the infrastructure topic. Or in our case of the restaurant, people we know, our users we know, as specific as we can. John, the unhappy single, or busy families, or good restaurants, because these pilots have connect to restaurants, unsatisfying restaurants, competitors, whoever, the weather. Don't stop yourself thinking about unfitting ideas. Everything should go in this list of actors if they pop up in your mind. But that's not enough. You should also talk about them so that you have a mental model in your mind. What John, the unhappy single, we will surely won't build anything just for John. But if you talk about him like this, you start creating a mental model, and you start thinking about, okay, why is he one of these actors who is not using who used our app just once? So the whole the actors needs to be put in this in this context of the goal. We are talking about non-returning customers or one-time customers. Those are the users which we want to, their behavior we want to change. We want them to return. But they are not the only ones. Good restaurants can help in this. Unsatisfying restaurants can obstruct or can be a reason why people don't return. Put every persona, actor, other company on the map. Can you imagine this? Usually we do. It is better if people are doing it by themselves, because then they have this discussion, but we don't I don't think we will have the time to invest some time in it. Or do you want to try it? Any other ideas? I go back to the goal or to the company. Anyone wants to propose other personas or questions?
I've just got a question, if that's okay. I'm just thinking about the goal itself. Like, let's say, for example, you've got 1,000 customers a week, but if you, let's say that dropped to 500 customers a week, but the actual rate of returning customers increased to 60%, you'd meet the goal, but you've actually lost half your customers.
Can you repeat the start at the beginning? Because I didn't.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, if you, let's say you lost half of your customers, but the percentage rate of returning customers increased, and you hit your 60% goal, that to me seems like slightly a misaligned goal potentially. Like there's other things within the that you, yeah, it just seems. I'm just thinking of edge cases and weird things that goals you could, when you're trying to hit a metric, there might be other ways that engineering teams like hit that metric by doing naughty things. Yeah.
Exactly. That's this is why we need this measurement and metrics and this discussion. So instead of that, you could say increase the number of returning customers to 60,000 from 10,000. In this case, you fixed your problem.
Yeah. Cool.
And exactly like this, these discussions are very important. Are really important because otherwise people find ways to do stuff which actually it is not the goal or not the idea to do those. This method is also one of the best team building methods I ever saw because people talk together and at the end they align on the same goal and they have the same goals, the same purpose. So if those engineers are in this meeting and they are part of it and not just watching, then at the end they won't even think about okay, let's make some other tricks because that's not a very mature thing. But it happens. I know that it happens. If you are far away from these discussions, if you are in some team somewhere who never was part of the initial idea, it means you are not aligned, you're not agreeing with this goal or not understanding, then it happens very often. And this is one of the reasons why things fail, that people are just doing some hacky stuff, just okay, let's have this objective done, and I don't care about the rest. And that's a waste of brain cells and all the knowledge engineers have in their mind. This is why collaborative modeling is really important to have it collaborative. Okay. Cool. So, yes. So, actors. I think I messed up the slides. No, I'm fine. So after the first 20 minutes or half an hour, as long as it takes, just create that big list of actors. Don't constrain yourself. Don't think that it's not valid. Just put them on the table and have the discussion. After everybody is quite happy, you can't go for a full list because there is no such thing like full list. Depends who is in the room. It will get different ideas. So get a good list where you say, okay, I think we covered the most important actors. Then the next step is the impact. You remember the first question was whose behavior needs to change so that we achieve our goal. And the second step is, okay, how should their behavior change? And this is the big step of understanding what is what is the job the customers want to get from us? We are not talking about outputs. These are not lists of they need to do this and that, because, well, I mean, yeah, somehow it is, but it's not. I will show you the examples, and I think then it's easier to understand. What we would like that John, the unhappy singer, for example, unhappy is probably the wrong word here, to have him be happy with our offer. So if he would be more satisfied, then he would come back. Other idea could be not just talking about the food, but maybe we can find other ways to make him happy just by using the app, because this is an app to delivery app. But what if we find something, I don't know, gaming or whatever, so that he's not bored and he's actually enjoying using the app. Busy families, good restaurants is something that the team can decide, okay, we can't talk about everything, because then we will talk for 2 days. That's too much. Let's postpone. Let's choose the most not favorable, but those actors which we think that they have the biggest chances to help us achieve our goal, or they are the biggest obstructors. Let's choose those and talk about those. And the rest of the list, you keep it on the map. Don't delete them, don't throw them away, because this should be a living map where you can come back in 2 months or 1 month and take the next one. So just keep it on the map and focus only on a few, depending how many people are involved here. And in my imaginary impact mapping, I chose a person who is living alone and is not happy, not satisfied with the offer. And the group, he could be part of this group. The group of customers who lost their trust in our services. How can be the impact? What would be the impact? How their behavior should how their behavior should change? This is not wrong. This is not improve their food quality, but getting a better food, being more happier because of the food, increase trust because better food quality. I invented all these yesterday evening, so please bear with me if they're not good enough. And I had to discuss with myself, so that's not very collaborative. We know from our customer surveys that there are customers who are totally unhappy. They lost their trust because the delivery is usually late. And we have other information that the food is they are not happy because the prices are too high. So even here, that's also not a good impact. What we would like is that they don't consider the price is too high. Be happy about the delivery. Be happy because they can enjoy using the app. It doesn't need to be the restaurant itself. Be satisfied in general. Alistair, you asked. So if you get until here, then the chances are good that your goal, that you will find ways to address that goal. We still don't, we are not sure, but the map is not empty. We have information, we have knowledge about, okay, who has this problem, what we want to solve with that goal. We can talk about them. We can imagine situations, and we can imagine how to change that. So that's already a very good step to say, okay, Now, the last step is the easiest one. Okay, how to do that? How to change the behavior? How to make people more satisfied? And there are trillions of options because we are very creative people, usually in product development. And this is the place what I like the most, because you can become really creative and think about ideas what you would never do if you get a task. In this case, you can say, okay, you can do whatever you want. It is just a map. You can imagine all kind of crazy situations. I had in one workshop someone who killed a customer but saved the company, stuff like this. You can imagine whatever you want. It's just a map. And to discuss this together with others, you get the feedback and you find out, okay, that idea was not so good. But you will find good ideas because everybody in the room has the same goal and different knowledge, different point of views to share. Yes, Rick, that's you are right. You are right. This is what I meant. I changed yesterday. Here, actually, I had something else. I had unreliable restaurants, and for them, what I wanted from them is to unsatisfying restaurants. Sorry, this was the original actor, and what I wanted that they change. They become either delivering better food or faster, not faster, but more reliable, or offer cheaper food. Sorry for that. But you're right, and very good. So the last step is deliverables. The last node on the map is deliverables. And these are options, not must-haves. It means no shopping list. This is not a reason to have an epic with a pre-planned 3 months waterfall project. These are just options, and you can see this as walking skeletons, like containing the main idea, what to address and how and which team, but that's all. So this is not a full-fledged backlog, but the first steps. And all these deliverables must be defined in the context of the impact. And this is a big difference in compared to what we do today. If we have the goal, so we want to increase the number of returning customers. If we have the context of the company, if we have we know how it works today, and we have this impact, how do we want to do that? We would like them to be satisfied. Then we get to totally different ideas how to solve them. So one could be, okay, let's show the special offers first, or let's show the cheapest offers first, or offer promotions, or collaborate with an online gaming. Can you see the difference by the deliverables getting out from this way of thinking, and another one if we in silos groups do this breaking down the goals alone? If you can't see the difference, then I explained it wrong. So this is why I would like to have an answer, yes or no. Or maybe some of you could share some own experiences, how it works in your case, or is this something what it happens exactly like this in your company? or the deliverables actually look completely different and are tasks and not ideas, because these here are not tasks; they are ideas which we want to try. Anna Maria, can you see the difference? If you see, if you look at this map and how the thinking process, how we got here, and what kind of deliverables we get at the end, would you get the same deliverables if you do like how you do today in your companies without this method? You're muted.
We might get to it intuitively, but that would be luck and not structure. It might happen.
Yeah. And this is the reason why I think that this method makes us to get to completely different stuff, focusing on personas, on actors, and thinking about how to make them happier or get their job done faster, instead of translating the goals, which usually end up in the engineering teams, end up like tasks, completely disconnected from the original idea.
So is it safe to say that basically the way you explained it, I see this as a way to kind of get ideas about given an impact, basically trying to find the impacts that we're actually looking for, and maybe for certain companies that operate in a waterfally ways, maybe they'll eventually wind up working that way anyway, but at least it will be more understandable about why is it that you're doing something, and also come back with more innovative deliverables. I'm just trying to synthesize it and see if I kind of
in my experience, it is really 1 out of 100 that you get to the same ideas, because the goals are usually defined by a leadership. They don't know how the product works exactly, what can we do today, what not. So they are sitting in their bubble and define something. And the goal for that, it's fine, because they have all the entrepreneurship, or they have the whole context in the mind, and that's totally cool. But the moment we talk about actors, if this is in these two parts, actors and impacts, are usually the product people involved, product manager, product owners. If they have their own assumptions and they are not ready to challenge them, then they won't even tell you. They will say, I want to do this. But that's not enough. And this is everybody here, please, when you go back to work, start asking why. Please show me the value, what you expect to show the customers. This is really the big thing, and this is why it can be applied from one small person in each company and everywhere. You don't need to be a boss for this. This is how I started. I started asking my product manager, can you explain me what you expect? What kind of value do you expect? And it was in 50% of the cases, we didn't implement anything because he couldn't explain the value, and then it turned out he never thought about the value. And this is when I started using this method and started giving these workshops, because people we lost connection. Everybody has some objectives and goals and something own incentives. So we are so far away from our users. We are not far away. We could be very, very near. Someone asked if Peter asked actors. People having information about actors should be invited. Yes, please. Yes, this is why we need to know the goal before, so that we can invite all the people who know about this. Sales, marketing, customer support. But marketing, I don't know, but sales and customer support usually are the best addresses. They know all this. They know how our people think and behave. So yes, invite them. or have a discussion with them if they can't come. But ideally, if someone should be there who knows about how our users behave, what they think when they are using the app in the morning or in the afternoon, when they are using our products, what is their biggest pain, why they are complaining mostly. These are invaluable information. Good feedback is good, but it's not helpful to make something better. So you need the bad feedbacks to say, okay, this doesn't work, and on that you can act. Or the good feedbacks saying everything is good, nice, but it can't. It means, okay, you are good in that part. Okay, let's see where you are not good. So let's work on that. And yes, Anna-Maria, having the business experts, product designers, software, everybody together is really the best way of everything, because everybody knows their own problem. Imagine someone makes this exercise or defines something and just says, okay, we want to have, I don't know, 200% more users. And there is no engineer in the room, and the engineering team had at the same time reduce infrastructure costs with 30%. Good luck with that. So you will either fail the 200% more users because your application won't support it, or you will fail the 30% lower costs, because normally the more users, the more costs. So this is really the worst situation ever, and I assume it's happening all the time. And people get fighting instead of helping, like challenging that 30% and saying, what about we don't do this now, but we will reduce the costs relatively to what to the users we expect. Yeah.
What if after doing some of this, like you're doing deliverables, and you're like, oh, actually, you're still in the workshop, and you start going through the process, and you realize actually this impact doesn't make sense anymore. Do you correct? Like, what are the aspects of this that you correct as you go, or is?
Yeah, this is what I did here with this offer cheaper food. I would leave it on the map, at least for the workshop, and later maybe clean it up. But just explain, okay, or put an end to it, an end sign. We don't do this because how? So we can't. It would be very hard to change this from our side, because these are not our restaurants. It could be one deliverables. We open a restaurant, for example, or we buy in advance, or we like Nick June did it. We outsource cooks. It could be whatever, but if we decide not to, then just mark it as we don't, because it's we can't impact it, or it costs too much. At the Europe, I was in a workshop from Henning and Manfred, and they were talking about the Deutsche Bahn being very late. And I don't know if you're in New Zealand, but in Europe, I think everybody knows in the meantime that the Deutsche Bahn is one of the most unreliable train transportations in Europe. So I was hoping that they fix this problem, because they put it on an impact map, but they decided not to. Nobody can fix this. So keep it on the map, but mark it as, okay, we won't do this because we can't, with an explanation. Why not? Because the others, what I also try to show, you have here a list of deliverables, but you have 3 months. You don't have too much time. The whole question is all the time not what it will cost, but what I am ready to invest. So even if somebody put this goal, they must be ready to answer, okay, how much do we want to invest? How many teams should work on it? How important is this for us? Do we have a single goal for this whole 3 months? Then it means everybody can work on it. But if you decide, whatever you decide, just mark them as, okay, we work on special offers first, and we park this idea for later. We don't drop it, we discuss it a bit. So all these discussions here are rough ideas to answer the question of Alistair, can we act on this goal? And if we would have here no conviction, no confidence, then we would need to go back to the original idea and challenge the goal or change it or drop it. And this is one of the benefits. We didn't invest too much time. This kind of workshops, maybe if you have time, I would propose a whole day to have time to think, to not rush, because you do it once and then you benefit from it for the coming months. But afterwards, you should leave with a good conviction, good confidence, a good alignment, and ready to jump on this, to show, okay, are these ideas the good ones? Do they lead to what we expect them?
There's a question from Alistair in there, and I have another question after that.
How do I effectively get them? I invite them usually, and I do exactly what I'm doing here. I had this once with the whole company. It was a small insurance incubator. We were just 15, I think. And there was big questions in the room. Okay, for the next semester, what should we focus on? What kind of insurance should we build? And this is very hard to answer. So I proposed them this meeting, and we used the whole day. Everybody was, from the CEO until the trainee, everybody was there. We were just 17 and so, or 15, and it's not so big. We used all the walls, put stickies everywhere, worked in groups, but everybody on the same column. And then first in groups, then aligned, then in groups again. And at the end, it ended up with not following the wish of the CEO, but convincing him that his goal was not a good one and his idea was not a good one, and changing all this. And this is what I meant. It was the best team building activity I ever experienced. And even the CEO was afterwards, he was flashed. Even if we told him that his idea was bad, he was really happy. So these are the outcomes of this activity. If the team is not ready, if they are not ready to discuss, then I would ask them why. Why they are not there just to code. We can have AI for that. We need their brains and their collaboration and their creativity. And they know they have so much in their head that's really valuable. I did something similar with in a consultant in a software house, so with a client. And it was the same reaction because they were open for this. They were unsecure, so that they were actually very happy that we offered this discussion. Okay, let's see where we go. And the investment is 1 day, okay, 2 hours. The investment is nothing compared to what could happen. And this is how I would convince people. The alternative, okay, let's write that full-fledged backlog. We work 6 months on it, and then good luck if it worked or not. It's too late. What we need is instant or feedback as soon as possible. I will go back to the earlier things, but we want to know that the idea makes sense. We can't work with egos here. We can't say, I am convinced that this is the way to go, and I don't care about explaining it to you. In that case, it won't work. But most people are actually not convinced. Most people actually are happy if they can validate their ideas. So what we need is to get the confirmation, oh, actually the idea was good. And we can't afford to work on this for 3 months to get a confirmation. So we must rethink everything what we do and how we do so that we can get very, very fast feedback. And where should I go? Yeah. So in cases like, I will come back to your question, Lisa. In cases, so when would this method fail? If you have outputs as goals, reduce or have 10 pull requests. That's very stupid. We can do it in 1 day, 1 line per pull request, and you are done. And then you can do something valuable. Not a good goal. Not being aligned with the goal. This is something like people not being in the room, or I think Ira asked this first. People are doing hacky stuff because they actually don't care about. They use that one goal as an alibi to do something else. Like saying, oh yes, we will reach this, and for that we will use the newest, shiniest framework because that's a hype now. There is no if that new shiny thingy, it's not a prerequisite. It can be explained, reasoned why it is necessary. Sometimes, often it's necessary, but often it's just a pet feature. Someone wants to do it because they can. That's not a reason. We waste so much time and so much CPU and energy and forests and everything with stuff which we should not do. That it's time to focusing on why we do all this. We should not do it because we can. That's people are not able to accept that they might be wrong. That's this is the ego problem. So in that case, if you succeed, then it's not good because you proved that you have shorter ways or probably a different idea that the product manager asked for, and you will surely not focusing on metrics or something, because why? If nobody wants a confirmation but just wants their stuff done, it's the same like pet features for engineers, could be the same for product managers. Not measurable goals. This was one of the points where I had the hardest time to accept. But I think it is really important to be able to see a report, to be able to measure, because otherwise you just don't know if you are going into the right direction. And often the hardest part is to connect initiatives. In April, I was at a conference in France, and the keynote speaker was working for the France employment, how you call the part of the government, which is about employment workforce, France workforce. And they had French government in general. And they had one topic, it was called culture card, where the idea was to give underprivileged people access to everything related to culture, museum, cinema, events, or whatever. And this guy, working in the most hierarchical, bureaucratical organization, he said, that's not good enough. If putting this goal, okay, let's have 50% more usages of this culture card, it's not good enough, because if those 50% are all white rich people, we failed completely our goal. And that was, for me, hearing this from a bureaucratical, hierarchical thinking person. If they can do it, then you can do it in your team, sure, but we're mostly not working in the governments. So,
I kind of,
I think
I think
yeah.
also there is that culture stuff, but also there is the not, if you've never done collaborative modeling, it's very, very hard for you to see the value. So sometimes you need to kind of go smaller first and show something, and it might be really discouraging, but you need to kind of do it a few times, and the bigger the org, the harder it's going to be to show value. I think the best analogy for this is something like this. Imagine you're trying to move an elephant, and all you have is a little bottle with essence of peanuts. And you kind of go around like this. I don't know if you can see me, but like you have a little container of essence of peanut, and you're just kind of opening it, shaking it around, and moving away, and hoping the elephant starts following you, which means very slow, right? So I think, although it's not so much about the size of the, or, I think people are able to see the value once they see the value, which is a little bit complicated. So I think this is all about finding the right, someone, like a couple of people that will play along, and that they start talking probably loudly about it. But it's very long. The bigger the org, the longer it'll take. But this is where I was wondering if a way to do that. You just said, Krisztina, that this could be done in 2 hours. Probably not as good as, but if you do it in 2 hours and suddenly you're like, oh, we did a meeting for 2 hours and it was just our team and some random person that actually said yes, and you kind of do it and you get something out of it, and you start kind of getting to go there. In some time you might be able to do a bigger one and a bigger one, but half of the problem, I think, is people accepting that this is something that they don't have, and the right people accepting that, isn't it?
So like I said, Alistair, I was in a not completely task-oriented team, but half of it was like that. And the product manager was used to that. And I started refusing tasks. At some point I explained to him, because he asked, okay, how can I know if the task is good enough? I told him, if it starts with do this or do that, it's not good. I don't care about that. I would like to understand, what do we want to achieve?
Could I just ask a question? Is it possible to kind of, I'm just thinking of, if you did it in reverse, basically you had a deliverable and you're like, oh, can we go back and why are we doing this thing, and kind of figure out, and then use it, go right back to start and then start again and go, okay, and that might be a good way of doing it, something small. You're starting with something that's already existing and then kind of using it to explore.
I think one of the reasons why I wanted this session called Secret Sauce is that I think that I do this under my without thinking about it all the time. Each time when we get some new ideas and new work to do, we first start with what is the value, and after a few months we have millions of tasks, and then which we created, not a product manager or someone, and then we start reverse engineering. Do we really need to do this? Do we really need to do this now? And do we really need to do this at all? So all the time in both directions. Because everything is changing in time, so that you will end up at some point saying, oh, actually, we don't need to do this anymore because it's done, or it would not help. I don't think we answered Alistair's questions, but I don't know what else to say but to leave it. To do it, to ask, I call it ask nice questions like, can you please explain why?
I do wonder whether or not actually using impact mapping as a way of improving the team culture might actually be quite an effective way to introduce it into the team, or at least into the leadership part of the team, right?
Yeah.
You could very well say, the goal could very well be about I don't know, team culture, or kind of engineering effectiveness, and then you could actually go through this whole process kind of that way, couldn't you?
Exactly that. So we have also, since 2 years, I'm hearing we are not efficient. I think in my company we are not efficient, not because of the engineers, not because of single parts, but because of this initial experimental and innovative way of thinking. We don't do this at the beginning, so that we start building a lot of stuff, and maybe we could stop at half of it. I will got the no. I will share the Mirobot afterwards. So it is you can access it. I assume. So don't need to we don't need to go to this now, or we still have time. But you can see when it is not working. So what this is how we work today in several companies, or bigger companies, or different type of industries. We have everything very siloed, and between the idea and the delivery, there are months. And if this is probably how your team is working, Alistair, it's so far away that they don't even get the reason why to do something. And a lot of people are not even asking, because they don't know that they can. Some people don't know that they can ask, and some don't know that they should ask. And some just wants to get those 10 lines of code, and that's it. And the earliest time for feedback is after everything is released. And this only in happy situations, because in most of the cases I know about, we don't measure if something works. It's something has the impact that we want. It's something has the outcome what we want. In this, what I was thinking is, we do exactly these steps, and we don't care what happens afterwards, because it's not our problem, it's the problem of the company. What I think that it's a bit short-sighted here. If my company has problems, they won't pay me anymore, so I will have problems too. And I think the current economic situation shows this. Yeah.
I think in here also the feedback, I don't think in many companies you ever even get back to anyone. Like when it goes to weeks or months, it's like, I know that, like, we're supposed to be doing systems, and all of these, if you think about, also, by the way, obviously people in a team are also working in multiple projects sometimes, which means that it's like, if you thought about any feedback, it just disappeared due to the lack of cohesiveness between these different projects, because you just don't know what you're doing anymore, right? So you can't even give that good feedback. Like, if you have some thinking about, if a designer thinks a good feedback, maybe that comes back. But by the time it gets to testing, the engineers, something that actually goes wrong at the very end there. I mean, even if we were thinking about accountability, just because, this is something that teams tend to like doing from a managerial point of view. I mean, there's kind of zero accountability, is there?
This is what I'm doing. I am asking the teams 2 weeks later how it's going, how it went. Can you share some reports? Can you share some numbers? And 90, actually always the answer is we have some reports. We have a kind of an inbuilt measurement. Sometimes later, and it's not very early, but still this kind of a culture. I think it's a culture, this practice. Okay, we want to see how something works, but it's really a cultural thing, the company culture. I mean, not country or nationality.
It's always coming back to the
yeah.
culture.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We still every company can improve, but there are the whole range of waterfall as in the books, and not thinking but just typing and being a kind of a machine. So don't really caring if it worked or not. To very lean, very agile culture, which are like my insurance for my insurance company. I really don't like insurance companies, but this one was their mission was to make people happy that they have this insurance, and they were able to explain it to me, and this is why I worked there. So as I said, don't give up or change the team. I think the only way what you can solve that problem is showing, not skipping any opportunity to show if something is not a good thing to implement. Starting really going rogue and refusing tasks like make the button blue. Asking politely for explanation.
I joined the team to change the team. Like with anything, it's about kind of opportunity and timing are a big thing, right? So you kind of ship is sailing. I'm trying to nudge it, and we'll see in the future how big a chance I get to actually really change like the gear about how things work, right? So I'll probably I'm actually having a lot of fun changing the team. So
okay. Okay, so we don't want this one. What we actually want is this one. And this is not just having some two stickies in the same time. This is not parallelizing work. This is completely changing your focus. The focus is not, now we are getting to the hard parts. This was the easy part, now the hard parts. The focus is not to deliver this and this and this. This is, we will see what we need to deliver in order to get our first learning and our second learning and our third learning. That's the goal. We have some big modernization initiatives in my team, and our first slice or phase zero of this long transformation. I put the goal, we will be able to measure at least if we change. This was the first goal, nothing more. And we needed 4 weeks for that or 3 weeks for that to be able to measure. And that's already a big goal, a great success, because we use that dashboard since February. So if we use, it has such an impact. It sold instantly to everybody. At the beginning, it was 0, 0, 0, and at the moment we got to 90% of these changes. And that metric, that dashboard, accessible by everyone, made this whole initiative, which has no direct client impact or usage, it didn't have until yesterday. It was sold to everybody because everybody could see how the numbers went from 0 to 90%, and everybody had access to it. I could share screenshots anytime or links. That's invaluable asset. If you just tell someone, oh, no, don't worry, everything works, no proof. Nobody will buy it and nobody will remember it. You need metrics, measurements to show that it works. And this is why everything here, it is not just working in parallel, that it's not solved the problem. The goal is a different one. The goal is, I want to know if it works, and this is each time. I want to know if it works better and if it works more, or I want to know when to stop, because this is also something what you do with impact mapping and what we should do with goals all the time. If we are done, if we reached our target, then we should stop working on it. This is the other thing why waterfall is so terrible, because you never stop, you never measure, you never stop. You just do stupidly that huge backlog. You never challenge yourself, or the team doesn't never asking, like just here asked, do we need this? Does it bring value? Why do we do it? Stop doing it. If you achieved your goal, then you can stop doing it. And how to define those metrics to measure the goal? These are the. It's not. So this part is not the hard part. How to set it up is the hard part. And this is also an answer to the question: are our goals correct? Are they good enough? If you can't define these properties, then it's not. So first of all, you need to decide what to measure. It's exactly that discussion I think it was Ira again asked at the beginning. What if we increase 60% our number of returning customers, but we lose half of the customers in general? Here you have this discussion. So what do we measure? Should we measure rates? Should we measure percentage? Should we measure change? Or should we measure absolute numbers? In my experience, yes or no. If the answer is a Boolean one, then it's not good, because how do you evolve? what is the minimum? So yes or no, it is not something which can increase in the future. It's not that's a smell for an output. Either you have this or you don't. That's not that can't be an outcome, because it's a Boolean thing. It's a black or white. So let's say we decided here a number of. I will show you the example afterwards. So the second property, how to measure it, and this is the factual one. So I need a link. I need something where I can click, and ideally everybody can click, or at least I can share screenshots or something to see the measurement. And if I don't have this, because in most cases you don't, then this is the very first, and this is a task, the very first task, the very first deliverable to set up that measure, the capability to measure. Often you must be very creative. Like in this case of the culture card in France, how do you tie all the initiatives? Can you prove that the card was used by an underprivileged person? How do you do this? That already is something which it is worth to invest in it hours or days to make sure that you can, because the output is the metric. The outcome is you found ways. Your ways of deliverables will be different. We had very long discussions about it, because people said, okay, we just say if someone is of color, and we were like, you can't do this. You can't just ask and then say, okay, now you are underprivileged. You can't put people in boxes. You must be very sensible with this. So finding that out is half of the exercise. The implementation is easy afterwards. The question is how. This is much more important than which framework we use for it. That's easy. How can we prove it that these are connected? That the work what we are doing is connected to the outcome, and it's not actually the other team? That's the hard part. Benchmark is what is the current situation. So in our case, 10,000 users, or I don't know, 10,000 returning customers. Constraint, this is also a very interesting discussion. What is the minimum acceptable value? So if we say in our case, okay, let's have 60% more returning customers. But how much? What is the return of investment? How much do we invest? We invest 3 months in this. What does it cost? What would be okay-ish? This is also often ignored, but it's pity because you could say, okay, after I reached 40%, I can stop because that's good enough. I invest rather in something else. And target is the desired value. And again, this is not, we will work now for 3 months and see you in 3 months and then find out if it worked or not. But it must be something measure, learn, build, deliver all the time as a circle.
Sorry, could you explain the constraint and target a little bit more? Like, I guess maybe my question is that, let's say you have a constraint of increasing it by 40%, but your target is 60. When do you stop? If you hit 40, when do you stop?
That's
You
the
stop.
constraint. If you say, what is my break even? When when the work was already worth it's when it's good enough, and you define that from the beginning.
Sure, but if you hit, let's say 30% in this particular case, even though your goal is 40%, you just stop at the 30%? Because wouldn't you always stop at the constraint?
You don't decide it alone, because the other change to work like this is to have intermediary milestones, and each time you come together with the people involved, with your stakeholder, and discuss, should I continue or should I stop?
Okay, yeah.
Does this, so you have one big objective. Okay, 15, I put here 15,000 and 16,000. I already put numbers of returning customers because it's better than report, because you have absolute numbers. But then you have your impacts and deliverables, and you have for those their own metrics and their own reports and their own target. So here, the first one is make unhappy first-timers happy. This was John the Single. And the first deliverable, display the special offers, and then you discuss, okay, let's invest in this for the next 4 weeks. You need a different report for that. It's not, it can be the same, but it's not necessary. Let's talk about the other one. That's surely a different report. Increase the trust in our services. You won't be able to see this on the returning customers number, or not directly, but you can see, your idea is that this is one of the reasons why people don't come. This was the presumption, and this was the proposal. And the impact is increase this reliability, so that increasing trust will impact the number of returning customers. And it means you want to invest in this, and you put yourself a time slot, a milestone, something below 3 months, because after 3 months is too late. It must be, must find ways to reduce hamburger method or whatever, to slice this, to find the value in small iterations and measure each time if your reports are increasing or not, if you're going into the right direction. Like improving this reliability of the delivery, you put yourself a concrete goal. Okay, let's make it the P90 of the delay regarding the ETA should be, today is 20 minutes, and it should be 5 minutes, but if we reach 10 minutes, that would be already great. But these are assumptions. You don't know. This is bet. We bet. Some things we can, direct metrics we can measure. Money and regarding to returning customer, that's easy to measure. But this year because we talk about outcomes, the change of the behavior, we just hope that if we increase the reliability, then it will impact the trust, and if we impact the trust, it will make the returning customer to return more often. This is not something not unbelievable. It feels very logical. So this is happening all the time. If I don't trust something, I don't use it. If I trust it, I use it. So it is not a big bet, but the numbers are a bet, of course. You don't know how accurate you need to do so that people are really trusting this. Maybe this is just one problem. But if we talk about this trust, then you could have a series, and you should have a series of deliverables, all to increase the trust. But then, of course, you can't do them all at the same time. So you define yourself as a team. Okay, we start with this, and we don't need to work on it for 4 weeks, but we measure it for 4 weeks. And after 4 weeks, the numbers are still the same. We drop it. Yeah. Stop investing if the results are not the expected ones. This is very, very important. This makes the difference from waterfall to iterative, feedback-based product development.
Devil's advocate question. But we promised to the investors we would do it.
What?
Well, we promised the investor that we will deliver this feature, because that's I heard this enough time, and you're like, oh, really?
Yeah, of course. But the question is, what did we promise and how much of it? If we told the investor all the small details, then it's our fault, because we should not. We should promise that we improve on stability, that we improve on trust. The investor just doesn't care how many lines of code we wrote for that.
Oh, what if our measurement? So you've been doing something and you start realizing the way you're measuring is wrong, and I assume that what you're going to say is, oh, well, change how you're measuring. Or is there maybe the converse question is like, how do you validate that you found a good metric? Is there any kind of heuristics to kind of sense check that you got a good metric?
I can see the change. We are in the same situation. When we started in January to work on this, what I told this big transformation initiative, the first what we set up, the first measurements and the first dashboards are great, but now they are not helping anymore, because the questions changed. In the meantime, we don't want to ask if we did something or not, but how accurate is this? So we will need now to go to we are going in phase 2 or 3. I call this, I don't want release dates or some, I'm sorry, Atlassian stuff. It is not about release dates and release things, but milestones and our goals. So phase 0 was set up this measurement, be able to measure it actually if you go. Now we went a lot ahead, and we start using that as a for the users too. So it has since yesterday a direct impact. Now we must change the measurement because it's not helpful enough. So yes, go and change it, because it still should show if you go into the right direction. If it just shows yes or no, it's not good. And usually these things change. Other question. So measuring can be very hard. Yes, this is one of the harder things to invest in that. And if you can't measure it, then go back and say, sorry to say that, but I can't find a way to measure it. We need to change something.
How do you
either the phrasing, either the scale, something. Yeah.
How do you avoid when you set these measurements and they kind of become targets? And then how do you avoid the kind of target chasing behavior versus the outcome, actually focusing on the outcome?
Yeah, because so if you go through this whole thinking and this whole constraints and stick to these rules, how can this become a target? So my target is now 60% more returning customers, and that's totally fine. Because the measurement is not bad, per se. The metrics are actually not bad. Our stupid vanity metrics, they are bad. So if we would say, okay, we deliver 8 releases, that would be bad, because this is where metrics become target. In this case, we want that the metrics become target.
Because they're tightly coupled between the outcome and the metric, I guess.
Yeah, because you got through to this impacts and deliverables by having all these discussions. So if we here would stay without going to all the thinking, just you have this 60% monitoring customer, okay, and then it goes wrong, it goes south because the next one is not impact and deliverable, but it's just a task. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Make the website faster. If it's not linked, the reason that the website is too slow, this is why the customers are not coming back. Then these are unlinked things completely. You can make the website faster, and then the metric becomes target. Yes, but
I'm just thinking as well, like about certain, I guess some like dark patterns. Say, for example, the target was to keep returning customers by making it really, really hard for them to cancel their subscription. You know, that's something we see. Yeah.
For example, I had already this thing like remove the cancel button, but and this example should be on the table when you are in the workshop. In 90% of the cases, or in the European Union, somebody will tell you that's forbidden because you are legally obliged to have that button. But in other cases, it could be acceptable. I told you at one of my workshops, people killed the customer but made a lot of money. So just don't constrain yourself when thinking about the different steps. Afterwards, you can drop them and you say, okay, that's a bad idea to break the law or to kill the customer because it's a very short-term value. But first, you need to have it on the table in order to be able to say that's a bad idea.
Krisztina, I think you've done something terrible, because now I really need to try this thing with something like now. So I'm really looking forward to trying this. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that I can use, I kind of say, oh, okay, if I had to split this in a couple of days with a few people, I was like, oh, maybe I can run it with bite size. So kind of do one thing, like do the people thing first, the actors, and then the impact, and then in two, or like if I can't steal them at the right time, and they're like, oh, but I'm so time poor or whatever. I was like, wait, we're time boxing this, and we're using bite size to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. So now we have, I was like, okay, now maybe me, like other people now want to go and try impact mapping. So we have the thing. We probably have a format that will work for time poor people. And then, you know what? We just need to have a theme, and then we can do it for, just trying how to do impact mapping.
Yeah, these and if this impact and find out the right wording and so on, it won't work from the beginning. Doesn't matter. Don't stop doing it. Just practice and ask yourself all the time these questions. Does this thing what I am doing changes the behavior of anyone? Does it bring any value? And if not, then can we have a coffee, please? Because I'm not convinced. If you are not convinced, you will deliver shitty work. That's it. So you need to be convinced. You can be convinced if you don't care, then you're not convinced, and you will deliver shitty work probably. Or if you are convinced, you will add your own brain and your own knowledge to all this, and you will have together a brilliant work. I never saw something in the middle. Either you are in the same boat, or you are in two different boats, and then you won't reach that goal. So, in order to be convinced, you need to buy it. And how can you buy it if someone says, I want to do it because I want to do it? You won't buy it. You will buy it because we are all humans. We need a purpose and a mission. And our purpose and mission is not to make the boss happy. At least it should not be. Thank you. But it should be something valuable. Let's do something cool. This is why most of the people go to work to, okay, of course, to get money, but also to feel that they do something valuable. So for that, I need to understand your goal and your thinking, and probably you had something, just share it with me. Just share it with me. And then we can get out the best out of it on both or three words. Like I said, the slides are public, and that's the link to virtual DDD. What else? Should we... do you have other questions? Is something blurry or not? It's something what you don't buy from what I'm saying. I experienced all this. It's nothing invented. And like I said, this is the book. Very small. Okay, that's the wrong one, but full of pictures, short text. I would heavily suggest to buy it and to read it. I read it already 6 times, I think. I always find something new, not because the book changed, but because I change. New experiences, new understanding, aha moments each time. Everybody shocked, or everybody silent, everybody tired, or everybody happy?
I just can't wait to go try this, to be honest.
Very
That's
good.
where I am. I don't know anyone else. I mean, I know that some of you are not on camera, but do you feel like don't want to ask a leading question, but it's like, are you like, maybe I'll try this, or like, that will never work, or maybe some sense checking of like in the spectrum of like, what the hell was that? To yes, I love this. You know, can you type maybe on the Zoom chat where you're at? Since for all of you that are here, see some typing happening.
I could just mention that once I was. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Previous year, I used something like event storming. Like I believe it's very similar, and that was really like impressive to see that everyone was aware what's happening. And today it was very much destabilizing the process even more. So I'm very feeling upgraded. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback. I would say it's not the same. It's the wrong. Event storming, in my opinion, comes exactly afterwards. So first you need to find out, okay, where should I go? Because a lot of solutions or deliverables are not related to computers. You could create fake newsletters. You could create a fake announcements. You could use Facebook to make advertisement. You could do so much stuff which is not software. And for the part what will be software or actually for any parts, is the question, okay, how to do it, what happens in our imaginary story, and there you should start with event storming, or you can start, or with domain storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. Like personally, I'm a developer, so I introduced this idea to team to like work after I believe the like product comes with some already objectives and stuff. I believe they did it, and what I see today is that now I need to question how well they did it, like what they want. Are they really clear what they want? And this knowledge, I believe, it would be helpful for me to detect some issues with them from the early stage. Thank you.
Exactly like that. Just ask politely with a cafe, can you explain me your idea? And then you can react by showing that it might not work. Yeah, very cool. Goal achieved.
This will be my last question, I promise. How does this relate to like the jobs to be done modeling framework? And I guess, are there strengths in using both of them, or?
I don't know it. I can imagine that you can when you come to deliverables somewhere here. It depends how exact your jobs to be done is. You could put here either one after another or on the same lane.
Yeah.
But the problem with this, I never use that framework. The problem with these jobs to be done, it depending what people have in their mind. If some people say this is the minimum what I need, that's very good. But you must put that minimum in that time slot so that you can start measuring. If others say this is everything what we need, then you remove yourself the option to stop. That's then a shopping list. So if the jobs to be done is the minimum list, or it's just a rough list to not forget, okay, we need to act on these different parts. It could be also a signal that that it is that your expectations are so big that you have no idea if you can't get feedback early. So if from the beginning that's already a given, a set thing, how can you make how long are you prepared to invest in it? If you are prepared to invest in the whole time to do all the jobs to be done, and fine if it fails after that, then it's good. If you want to have a very early feedback, then it's not cool. Then you must find something else, and the jobs to be done become an experiment. We just did this 2 weeks ago. A very, very complex, really complex problem, and we just talking for weeks, and then said, okay, you know what? We do an experiment of 2 days. We agreed, all the stakeholders, we invest 2 days to find out if we can do it or not. And it changed the problem completely, and now we know we can do it. And the jobs to be done will become something completely different because we know now what are the paths that we need to touch after this experiment. Allow yourself the doubt of success, and then you won't talk about jobs to be done. You will talk about how can I know if it works. And this is this change of mindset, looking for learning, looking for confirmation instead of assumption confirming, or instead of just following my assumptions. But I don't know the framework jobs to be done, so I don't know. I would say, if there are no more questions, thank you very much for the questions and for the interactions.
Thank you. Krisztina, that was awesome. Thank you for showing us your things, actually going through all the questions, going through the interactions. I love the metrics bit and observability things, all the gotchas. A++ would get a talk from you again soon, hopefully. Wink, wink.
Maybe. I don't know. Thank you very much for being here. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Otherwise,
Thank you very much.
Avram, you were in my workshop 2 years ago, isn't it? At Kandinsky. You did an impact mapping workshop. No?
I think so. Would it be?
Yeah. Your internet is
I
not so
think
good.
I was. No,
We
okay,
can't-
it's better now. Yes, I think I was in your workshop in Berlin. I think so.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think I should have said all this in the workshop? Because I don't know, the time is not enough.
Yes, and I learned a lot from it, and I implemented. No, I'm having a bad connection right now as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Krisztina.
Thank you too. Bye, and have a good day or night or
Bye-bye.
I'm
whatever.
stopping the recording. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.